Thanks for listening to Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang, and you're listening to Geek Out. What's your cup of tea? What tickles your fancy? Or what floats your boat? Join us as we share passions from people in Taiwan and around the world. Welcome back to part 2 of David Pirozzi.
Still back at it.
My very good friend from New York. He flies into Taiwan actually very often.
Pretty often.
With the exception of the pandemic, right?
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that anymore. But right, there was a themed finale dinner party about the 100.
Yes.
So I'm not assuming, I know. It's one of your favorite shows.
It is one of my favorite things. Not just shows.
Period.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Why? Well, first of all, we have to explain to listeners who have never seen the 100 what it is.
Okay.
Right? Right. How do we explain it to somebody who doesn't know what we're talking about?
No, I mean, the 100, all right, is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi show.
Okay.
The jumping off point is a century after a nuclear apocalypse caused the human race to flee into space and take refuge. Mm-hmm. The government decides to send 100 teenage prisoners back down to Earth to reestablish society and see if Earth is inhabitable.
Right.
In the century between the nuclear apocalypse and sending people back down, there was an authoritarian society. There were a lot of strict rules, tons of misery being experienced by people.
Yeah.
So the only prisoners were teenagers because crimes for
minors
were not punishable by death, and the government didn't care about these people, so they send them back down to Earth. That's really just the
beginning.
Okay, the first 7 minutes of the show.
Right.
But each season distinguishes itself from the others. Yet it all, adds up and builds quite the tapestry. So the first season is very much Lord of the Flies, Lost-style power dynamics.
Okay, guys.
Going on. Lost and Battlestar Galactica would be 2 of the primary influences on the 100.
Yes.
And the second season is an all-out war story. The third season is about religion and technology. The fourth season is more of a environment story.
Wait. Okay, so ready, guys? If you are very worried about spoilers, I suggest at this point, go watch the series.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay, good. So we're not actually spoiling anything.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
All right. But there's some people like, don't tell me anything about the show.
I'm just giving away the structure.
Good.
So each season has a different theme, something of a different setting within Earth, sometimes a different visual style, and it's just about different things. The umbrella themes of the 100 are very much what people do for survival.
Yes.
What's in human nature, having to make difficult choices.
Yeah.
The moral relativism. So those are some of the many themes, within the 100. But it's really just, about humans' capacity for violence. Tribalism is a major theme of it.
Yes.
So again, the show traverses a lot of thematic ground, and it does it with such thoughtfulness and such a deft hand. It's so well executed.
Absolutely.
It knows how to make amazing episodes, amazing seasons. It tells its story well.
It's not insensitive in any way. I actually feel like they handled all of our topics very gracefully.
I would agree. I mean, there are certainly people who disagree or just will point out the show's flaws, and that's fine too. Obviously, no one has to revere the show to the level that you and I do. But no, it's a very beloved show. It's so well performed by the actors, and it gets quite complex. A little bit of a caveat, some people will say this, including the show's creator, Jason Rothenberg, but he will say that the first few episodes are not the best, and it took a little bit of time for the show to just calibrate its tone and not make it as teeny of a show as maybe the early episodes were.
That was actually definitely my experience. When you recommended the show to me, you said to just get through the first couple of episodes.
I happen to love the first few episodes, even if I recognize it sheds a few elements and does so quite wisely.
Yeah.
The famous quote was the head of the network said, "Don't make the CW version of the show, just make your version of the show." But my God, that is one heavy, intense show. It is not for everybody.
Yeah.
But it is
warning.
Quite meaningful. It just has so much to say. It's profound. It's also entertaining. It's very, very exciting, and just absolutely terrific. So by the time the show came to an ending, After having watched it for so many years and having gotten friends into it, I did need to do a big, a
Finale.
blowout party for it, and I went quite big. And there was a playlist, there was a video reel I cut together, there were souvenirs, there was a game, there was food that represented things. I did quite a lot. The 100 also has tons of conventions because it has such a fervent audience. I have been to a few of those. So that's it's that. But no, it's really great. I do recommend it. Again, if you loved Lost or Battlestar Galactica, that's something of a recommendation. The show was affectionately called Battlestar Babies in its early years because it, again, had some similarities, and it was about younger people. I personally find it to be a superior show to Battlestar Galactica for a number of reasons.
I do too. Okay.
I think it's much more consistent. I think it ends better. It's more complex. I just think it's better written, better performed. I do think Battlestar Galactica has probably a little bit more innovation because of when it came out. I think Battlestar Galactica was incredibly topical when it came out. I mean, it's odd that the show that most reflected the post 9/11 mood wasn't something that was set in the real world, but it was actually Battlestar Galactica. But I think, again, Battlestar Galactica would be somewhere high on my list of best shows ever. I just personally find The 100 even better.
Yeah.
And I know you wanted to talk about sci-fi shows and not just all of television, or sci-fi / supernatural non-reality shows.
Simply because talking about all TV would be like an hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. We have 20 or so minutes, and again, all in all TV is 70, 80 years and different genres. And
so for today,
yeah.
I mean, David will be back with, I'm sure, more. Right. Okay, so my thing
whatever
with
I can do for Taiwan.
All TV, for any TV that I watch, my personal, I guess, requirement is that I tend to make connections with characters, right?
Yeah, that's important.
So there are wonderful shows out there that are highly rated. For example, a lot of people are recommending shows like Westworld. But
I'm not.
Yeah, David is not. But I've been told by multiple friends, go watch Westworld. And I tried it. The problem is, if I can't make like an actual down deep connection with your at least main characters, I don't care about what happens to them.
Yeah, and I think that was one of Westworld's drawbacks for me. I quit fairly early. I feel like I saw season 2, episode 1. That's what I got up to.
Right, and it's like, nah.
But there are things that I can laud about Westworld. Not that many things by any means, but
yes.
I think it did have great production values. I thought one or two of the performances were great. Evan Rachel Wood was great. Thandie Newton was great. Ultimately, I just didn't find the show to be particularly engaging emotionally, thematically, narratively.
I didn't love any of the characters.
No,
and therefore...
Yeah, and I thought like whatever Anthony Hopkins' character's name was, he was completely inscrutable for a season, and Westworld was very much in love with the puzzle.
Yeah.
And some people love shows like that. If a puzzle show is tied to something thoughtful, if it's tied to something emotionally resonant, that works for me. Lost comes to mind.
Oh, Lost. Let's talk about Lost.
But can we stop talking about Westworld?
Let's stop talking about
especially likes Westworld, and I don't want to bash something, and not to mention I don't remember the quarter of the show that I watched.
So let's talk about Lost.
Lost would also be another one of my favorite shows.
Amazing show. When was that?
Lost aired from September 22nd, 2004 to May 23rd, 2010.
I love that you know that. Like,
I do know
snap
that.
right off the bat. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember it being such an actual part of my life where I would schedule my day to watch Lost.
Lost absolutely... captured's not a strong enough word. Just grab the zeitgeist by the throat. Yeah. All right.
Amazing
especially
show.
For its first few seasons, and you just had to talk about Lost, and that was in an era where almost everybody consumed the shows one episode at a time, once a week, and there was the classic water cooler talk.
That's actually very true. There was very little binging at the time.
Right. And Lost was such a mind-tripping, mess-with-you show, and it confused a lot of people and always had these massive upending moments and everything. It was like, what's happening on the show? What in the world is going on?
Right. But
you had to talk about it. I also feel like Lost would be somewhere in my top 10, even with the myriad flaws that it has. But I'd probably say I don't think any show is better to talk about than Lost. Yeah. Both its subject matter, what happened in it, and its construction. Right. Because I think some of the flaws did make it interesting. I know some people have a little bit of a negative take on Lost many years later, and I understand that, even if I feel like that's misaligned.
Right. But
personally,
when I was experiencing Lost, right then, right while this was happening, as I explained, I make a very deep connection with characters.
Oh well, its emotional power is amazing. Like
it's
it could just grab at you, and the way it told its stories, which again it didn't invent. I think it got a little too much credit for its storytelling because other shows did that before.
But it utilized that tool extremely
yes, it did that
well.
tool so well. And for people who aren't familiar, there's a running story to Lost that crosses all the seasons. There's a story of the season. But most episodes are primarily focused on one character.
Yes.
So while all the things are happening in the show and to all the characters, you have one character front and center, and that's intercut with flashbacks of the character's life before he or she crashed on the island.
Right.
Lost being a show where a plane crashes on an island and people are trying to survive.
Correct.
Not entirely dissimilar from a spaceship is sent down to Earth and people are trying to survive. And again, Lost is terrific. So who are your 3 favorite Lost characters?
Oh no, right off the bat.
I'm putting you right on it.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Okay, Kate.
Kate?
I know.
Really?
I liked Kate quite a bit.
Really?
Okay.
I think
Kate
she
Sawyer.
improved as a character over time, significantly. And as a performer.
Yes.
But I would not put Kate high on my list at all.
So Kate and I totally shipped Kate and Sawyer.
Okay, I did not ship Kate and Sawyer, but Sawyer was my favorite Lost character, and I shipped Sawyer. And
Sawyer, so hot.
Okay, and
but yes, continue.
If I could look like Josh Holloway, I'd be more. My self-esteem would be higher. But anyway, Sawyer was my favorite. Now, who are your other? So
Okay,
Kate and Sawyer.
Kate and Sawyer. Let me think on that just a second. Who are yours?
Sawyer.
Number three.
Juliet.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
And my third would be a tie between Desmond and Ben.
Was that your ship, Sawyer and Juliet?
On that show specifically, yes. Now you've just went and spoiled something.
Oh no.
But again, it's a little bit. I mean,
it's an older show.
It's something of an older show.
Yeah.
But yes, that would have been the ship that I was into on that show. And I know you're a big shipper. I'm not necessarily a big shipper. I can be, but that's not what I come to every show for. Certain shows, they're all about that. Certain shows, they're not. But I've got many ships that I hold dearly in my heart. Let's break from the sci-fi talk really quickly.
Okay, yeah.
What are some of your favorite ships in all of TV?
Oh,
and then
no,
I'll talk
all
about
of
mine,
TV.
and then maybe we'll get back to sci-fi stuff.
Okay. So favorite ships.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be sci-fi. It doesn't have to be current. Give me some ships.
Oh no, in all of TV. Oh,
Yeah.
that's hard.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Oh no. Okay, actually, just because I just finished the series again, okay, bash me all you want, but Sex and the City.
Okay, don't spoil the 100. See,
Of course.
Anyway,
Okay, so Sex and the City's Carrie and Mr. Big. That's actually like
you ship them big time.
I
no
totally-
pun. Was not intending to do that. Okay,
No,
I'm not a Sex and the City aficionado, but I have seen, let's just say, roughly half that show.
I mean, that's not a spoiler because it happens in the very first.
That's the show.
Yes, the show.
That's the arc of the show. Again, this is an older show.
But
interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I felt like, I guess I predicted it because I hadn't read any books, that the show is based off of. I was a big time fan, and it was just so heartbreaking what was happening in the show. No more spoilers after that. Okay, just because I just finished it, rewatching the series.
Okay. So Carrie and Big.
Carrie and Big, and then I'd have to say, does anyone know Agents of Shield?
I watched Agents of Shield for, call it, 2.5 seasons. I feel like if you tell me characters that were on the original seasons, I probably would remember them, but I don't know. Who is your ship from that show?
Okay, so my favorite character in almost second favorite character in all of Marvel.
You love Marvel.
I'm a huge Marvel fan, huge Marvel nerd, specifically in the cinematic universe, it was Tony Stark. My favorite, all-time favorite.
Okay,
is Tony Stark,
who's not in Agents of Shield.
Is not in Agents of Shield, but in Agents of Shield, there's their main character. Main character is Phil Coulson.
Yeah.
Greg Clark, one of those.
Greg is the actor.
Right. But Coulson has this lovely, it's a love story. So it's a love story that is mostly told just anecdotally. Like you don't actually see it.
Is it the cellist thing?
The cellist.
Hold on, wait. This is very important to me.
Okay.
Okay, so I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for 2.5 seasons. The cellist is mentioned in the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
In whatever point of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that I watched. Okay. The cellist is in an episode. She's played by Amy Acker, who's like my favorite actress ever.
Yes.
Okay. And I saw that. To my knowledge, Amy Acker does not appear in the rest of the series.
No.
Okay. Go on.
But okay, so without spoiling anything,
because if she did, I was going to just go watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. later.
No, she doesn't reappear. But it's like it's referred to anecdotally throughout the. How many seasons is it?
7, I believe.
7, right?
I didn't. Yeah, 7.
But it's actually it's lovely.
So it's
she's like a running thought in the back of his head for his entire life.
That is lovely. It's interesting that one of your favorite ships is one that you basically don't see in the show, doesn't service. Yeah. Maybe it's the unique treatment that appealed to you. Maybe it's also Amy Acker was fantastic in the one episode because Amy Acker is fantastic in everything.
Yes.
Okay. So those are some of your favorite ships.
And lastly, it's kind of a fan thing. I'm going to say it's a fan creation, fan fiction. But ready? Very, very silly because there are artists on Instagram and stuff that post material about this, but Dean Winchester from Supernatural and the Angel Castiel.
Who is the angel? Is that also a Supernatural thing?
Yes.
I've not seen Supernatural, so.
Oh, okay. So David hasn't seen this.
No,
okay.
I've not seen one episode of that show.
So the two main characters of Supernatural are Dean and Sam Winchester brothers, who fight supernatural stuff.
Sure.
And then eventually, later on, I believe it's season 5. They start dealing with angels. Angels are introduced into the storyline, right? And there is a particular his name is Castiel, and even though in the series it's never it's never alluded to that Dean is anything but straight male. Fan fiction has taken this to another level. Okay. In the series, it has been alluded to that Castiel, he actually has said the phrase "I love you." Okay. So they kind of took that and ran with it. It's the fan fiction end of that is just so fantastic.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So these are your favorite ships. So your favorite ships are 1, a fan fiction thing. Yeah. 2, a ship that's not serviced on the show. 3, a ship that just
comes to the front of my mind.
Was important. Okay.
But I bet you're going to say stuff that is definitely, all right. So how about you? Favorite ships?
Favorite ships. Okay. So you mentioned Tony Stark earlier. All right. Tony Stark's played by Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Perfect casting.
Yep. But Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback from personal troubles.
Yes.
Okay. Which are pretty well chronicled in the media at this point. Actually began with Robert Downey Jr. on Ally McBeal.
Yes.
Okay. Which is a show I love. So Ally and Larry would be one of my favorite ships. So Robert Downey Jr.'s Larry was like Ally's the one.
Oh, that's so cute.
On that. And Callista Flockhart and Robert Downey Jr.'s chemistry is off the charts, and them getting to say David E. Kelly's dialogue.
I remember them.
So they would be in there. What are some other ones? Okay. No, again, I'm not like a big them. Tony and Michelle from 24 come to mind.
Yes.
Here's one that's from a current show from A Million Little Things.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. So Gary and Maggie from A Million Little Things. Okay. Is really high up on my ship list, and man, that show can really drum up the feelings. But their connection is really powerful, all of them. And then, humorously, a few weeks ago, the two of them walked by me on the street. Okay, they were.
You saw them in person.
Yeah, I saw them in person, but they walked. But the actors who play Gary and Maggie walked by me, and they were with each other, like on the street or whatever. Not like not romantically or anything like that. Okay. Just they just happened to walk by me.
Still amazing.
So maybe I was just near where they were filming or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, how about that?
The 100. Clark.
Hold on.
Are
we not doing spoilers?
No spoilers. I did totally shift Clark and
somebody.
Bellamy. Okay, to give the show credit, it's not like they just throw romance in the very beginning of the series.
100 pretty well developed and deliberately so, and comes from character.
I love the fact that Clark and Bellamy in real life.
Yes, in real life. Yes, whatever happens on the show, we're not saying, but in real life,
they're together. It's so adorable. They're a beautiful couple.
It is. They are a beautiful couple.
Beautiful.
I have seen the two of them in person. Yes, they are a beautiful, talented, and incredibly kind couple.
Right. Oh, I'm so
they're
glad
both really nice in real life. I've met them at conventions. They're lovely. They can adopt me anytime. I'm older than both of them, but they can still adopt me anytime.
All right. Okay. So I guess last question then. Your top 3 shows, I'm going to say, in this genre.
And sci-fi? Sci-fi?
I mean, there are shows that I would maybe consider kind of in the genre. Absolutely.
Well,
throw them in.
So Okay, so I could do sci-fi / fantasy / supernatural.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to cheat slightly.
Okay.
Angel.
Okay.
The Buffy the Vampire Slayer spinoff is the answer. That's in, no matter what. I'll just combine Angel and Buffy because they play off one another.
They are the same universe.
They play off one another. Taken together, they're even, more potent.
Yes, but it's a continuation of the story.
Yeah. If I can't combine them, then both Angel and Buffy are in my
Oh, no, combine
3.
them is fine.
But we're going to combine Angel and Buffy. We're going to do the 100.
Okay.
Okay. I would say if I'm doing 3, yeah, it is Lost. I'm just going to extend it to a top 5, and I don't know if this is going to be 4 or 5. Battlestar Galactica would probably be in there because I thought that was really great, especially at the time it aired. But the other dark horse, and interestingly, from the creator of Westworld, which is why I was so disappointed in Westworld.
Oh, that's true. You would have high expectations.
Okay, and starring the incomparable Amy Acker is Person of Interest. Okay. And Amy Acker's Root from Person of Interest is my all-time favorite TV character. There's my top 5. No, I think I gave you 6. You asked for 3. You asked for 3. I gave you 6.
But sci-fi, fantasy, supernatural.
I'm that difficult.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, call in, tell us, write us. We can be found on social media and basically email and everywhere else. What are your favorite sci-fi, fantasy, supernatural shows? Thank you very much, David.
No, my pleasure.
And thanks, listeners, for tuning into Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang, and we'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Geek Out.